Well, welcome to Workplace Trends. I forget how many conferences we've done, but I know we're in our 16th year. And so welcome to everyone. And I know some of you are regulars and some of you are new to us. So phones, you don't need to switch them off, but please put them onto silent. Don't switch them off because we want you to tweet. One of the things that we do at this conference is we make sure that what we say in this room reaches out to millions, and I mean millions of people. And we do that with the help of you tweeting using the hashtag WTrends18, and with the help of Sue Butcher, who has great reach. She'll be capturing all your tweets and making sure they go out into the Twitter sphere. So please join in with the tweeting. As usual, I would like to say thank you to our sponsors. We have three main sponsors today. They're there, Herman Miller, Ecofon, and Luctra. And also I'd like to thank our exhibitors today. We've got quite a few exhibitors. Please, when you go for coffees and lunch, spend a little bit of time talking to those guys. There's lots of really nice stands there. Some of them are even giving away freebies if you talk to them, so go and check them out. Okay, so I always do this at the start of our conferences. Hands up if you've been to Workplace Trends before. Yeah, about 45.3%, I'd say, a rough estimate. And that's not unusual. So we typically get half people come back again and again, and then we get another 50% of people who come for the first time. And we like that because it means we're bringing in different disciplines, different ideas each time. Now, I learned something the other day about LinkedIn, which I didn't know. And I need to get my phone out to show you. But I presume everyone's on LinkedIn. I can't imagine there's many people who aren't. But if you open your LinkedIn app on your iPhone or other device, open your LinkedIn app. This is optional, by the way. And if you press the icon with the two little heads at the bottom of the screen, yeah, which is basically looking for people, inviting people. And then you will see at the top of the screen now, it tells you how many followers you've got, and then there's a little icon there called Find Nearby. Can you all see that? Top middle of the screen, Find Nearby. Now, I only found out about this the other day, but if your Bluetooth is on, and if you press Find Nearby, and we all have to do it at the same time, it actually searches for people in the audience, so you can link up to them. So if you all switch on your Bluetooth, make sure your Bluetooth's on, but if you do that, you should see all the people within your vicinity come through, and then that gives you the opportunity to link up with them. And also, what I love about Workplace Trends is it used to be very London-centric, and now we're getting further reach. So is anyone here from outside of London? And is anyone here from outside of the UK? Great, I'm loving this. Anyone here from outside of mainland Europe? Oh, a few, okay. So where are you from, sir?
From New York.
New York, love it, okay. There's two gentlemen at the back. I'm going to go to the gentleman on the right first. Where are you from?
New Zealand.
And next to you?
Australia.
So I think New Zealand just wins in terms of distance, if I'm correct. I may not be. Okay, so welcome everyone. It's great to see so many people now coming from outside of the UK. And I love that because there's different views, different philosophies on workplace in different countries, and it's great to capture all of those. And also, what our ethos here at Workplace Trends is about, it's not just about presenting you with the latest knowledge, the latest interesting facts about workplace and where we think it's going, but it's also about how that knowledge is applied. So we mix up academics, theory with application and case studies, and you'll see some of that today. But most importantly for us, it's about building that workplace community and connecting us together, because that's how we learn together. We take that knowledge, we share the application, and from that we build our workplace knowledge and interest. I said we've been going for about 16 years, and we've touched on many, many subjects over those years, and you can see some of them listed there. And agile working, as it used to be, flexible working, new ways of working, that was probably one of the first topics we discussed those 15, 16 years ago. But we've also touched on topics like biophilia, wellness and well-being, and innovation, creativity. Lots and lots of topics have come up through workplace trends over the year. And our job is to find speakers who are just challenging us and stretching our views on workplace each year. And I'm just going to go through some of my favourites. So no offence to the speakers who aren't mentioned. I know some of you are in the audience, but these were my personal favourites over the last few years. So Robin Dunbar, I love the fact that we actually got him here. He's one of those Oxford dons, and you may have come across you may have crossed Dunbar's number, that magic 150, which is the number of people that we can consciously remember and integrate with in our social circles. And he told us about how Dunbar's number, 150, applied to workplace design many years ago. And also, and I can't believe it was 2011, Michael Pauling came and spoke to us on biomimicry. And that was certainly the first time I'd heard that term. And now we see not just biophilia, but biomimicry is coming into workplace design more and more often. And also we had Nick, who talked about, Nick basically invented the happiness index, and he told us about how we can use that as a metric in the workplace, along with other useful metrics like cost of space and performance and so on. And then finally, we managed to get Bill Browning in 2015. Now, Bill Browning, for me, is the godfather of biophilia. He wasn't the first person to come up with the term, but he's certainly the one that has been pushing it as something we need to do in workplace. And he's been doing that since the late 90s, but we managed to get him to speak at Workplace Trends a few years ago. So it was really great to hear about biophilic design from the horse's mouth, as it were. So those are some of my favorites. I think one of the underlying themes that comes out in a lot of our conferences is this theme around performance and productivity and how in the workplace industry we can help improve that. And I like to simplify things. So for me, productivity is output over input. And in our case, the output variable is performance of some sort. It may be producing widgets, but it may be creative process, it may be writing reports, it may be sales, whatever. But that's the performance metric. And traditionally, the input metric is cost and time to create that performance. But in the workplace, we tend to think of the input metric as the cost of our space and the amount of space we need. And I think what Workplace Trends is always about, when you look at our speakers, it's all about getting that balance right. Yes, we've got to have efficiencies, but that's not just what we do. That's the easy bit. If we're not doing that, we need to get another job. But the difficult bit is making sure that when we are being efficient, when we are saving money, at the same time, we not just maintain, but we enhance performance, motivation, well-being, and so on. So I just want to tell you a little bit of story about zoos. I'm a big fan of zoos. I used to take my kids to the zoo all the time when they were so high. Now that they're taller than me, we tend not to visit zoos so often. But I love going around different zoos and seeing how they've improved over the years. This is an illustration of London Zoo in Victorian times. And you can see here that the zoo is all about displaying the animals to the humans. And as a consequence, you often saw those animals pacing up and down. They were restless. We also know that the animals died a lot earlier than if they were in the wild. And also, there was no breeding programs. They did not reproduce. So not a great environment for animals, but a good one for people who are watching. If you go to zoos now, they've moved from the kind of cages to the full-on enclosures. They've developed the enclosures and they've designed them for the preferences of each specific species. So this enables the animals now, when you go there, you'll see that they're far more comfortable. You'll see that they're more relaxed. They have the option to hide from the public, but they can also be on display. The breeding programs are great to the extent now where some of our endangered species are actually, there's more in captivity than out in the wild. And it's just a general good environment where the animals are flourishing. They're not just surviving, they are flourishing. And it made me think about the workplace. And what I thought is, well, why is it that we do this for animals in zoos, but when I go to most workplaces, I just see seas of desks, regardless of the different people in there. And we might all be the same species, but we're very different animals. And I want to see us designing for those different animals. And if you think about it, when we're not in the office, when we have the choice to be somewhere else, we tend to choose workspaces, well, workplaces or places that make us feel comfortable, that support the task in hand, but also just spaces that represent our mood and our feelings, just spaces we like and we feel good in. So I think it's time that we do that in the workplace as well. And I've been doing some research with Ethos and Paige Hodgman at Ethos. I've been doing lots of research in how we can design spaces to cater for different personality types. I am a psychologist. And also in particular, how we can design acoustic environments to support the different personality types in the workplace. And what not only our research found, but research from the 1950s in psychology. So I love my job as a psychologist because I just read old stuff and then regurgitate it in the 21st century, and I get away with that quite well. But it's not just the 1950s research. There was a good piece of research done in the 1980s as well. And then our own field studies, because they tended to be lab-based, but our own field studies have supported this notion that depending on what you're doing and depending on your personality type, I've just given you the example of extroversion, introversion here, but depending on your personality type and what you're doing, we need different spaces. And again, without being too critical, when I see a lot of workplace environments at the moment, they tend to be focusing on stimulating environments, colourful, buzzy, lots of light. And what you find is that actually for maybe introverts who are doing quite complex tasks, that is an overstimulating environment for them, and it degrades their performance. So when we design spaces, we need to design for all personality types, not just for the extroverts. And think about, if you do simple stats, 50% of us are introverts, 50% of us are extroverts. So bear those guys in mind. And it's not just about personality types, but I think we're now moving to an era where it's about inclusive design. Now, inclusive design as a concept has been around a long time, but I'm not convinced it's been fully embraced by the workplace industry. So inclusive design does include designing for those different personality types, but it also includes designing for different physical abilities. So we know about DDA and things like that, but not all disabilities are kind of visible. So think about the non-visible disabilities. Also, in psychology, we talk about neurodiversity, about people with different cognitive functioning. And the people now in the workplace with higher order cognitive functioning, so people, and they tend to score higher on IQ, but these are the people that may have autism, ADHD, all of those things. So how do we design for those people in the workplace? And I know that some of the leading tech companies are employing those people because of their skills and their ability to deal with complex numbers and software systems. So I want to see inclusive design move to including everyone, and also age. Let's not keep talking about millennials. There are 4 generations in the workplace, so we've got to design for all of them. And I don't think it's so much about age or the generation X, Y, and so on. I think it's more about where you are in your life stage. So when you come into a workplace, you've got no dependence. So you're free and easy, you're socializing, you're building your career. And then it gets to a stage where you've got dependence. And then it's about having steady income and getting out at 5 o'clock so you can get home and see the kids before they go to bed. And then obviously at some point they go off to university or college or leave, and then we've kind of lost, we don't have so many dependents. So then what work means to us and how we use it is different again. So think about all those different factors, or those different types of people that are in the workplace. How do we design for them? And that's what I call the workplace zoo. It's a wonderful zoo if we design it right. And we just need to recognize that, as I said, we're one species, different animals, and we need to design for that.